I'm the Irish guy. Right, let's take a look at Premier League Gameweek 6. And this is a weekend featuring 7 disallowed goals. And the sad thing is, every footballer who scored their non-goal celebrated as if they just won the chase. Honestly, they all look so excited. Bless their little ears. Poor old Maxwell Cornet looked like a comic book nerd who just discovered a mystique in his bed. Oh, by the way, before we start the video, if you're new here, just hit the subscribe button, inching ever closer to 150k. And then yes, I'm trying to chase down Rory Jennings. I mean, he doesn't know who I am, so it's all a bit weird, but I don't know. I want to catch him. In my head, he's my new football daily. But alright, let's crack on with the game. Alright, let's go. Man United 3, Arsenal 1. Christian Eriksen is superb. I'm sorry, but how many people expected this man to be one of the first things on the Manchester United team sheet? I mean, sure, replace Juan Mata on the bench, fine. I mean, lads, poor old Chris, last year, we were terrified for his life. But now, pulling strings in the heart of Man United's midfield, utterly took Arsenal apart as if their entire midfield was made of undercooked cheesecake. He was brilliant. Manchester United were brilliant. I mean, what is going on? How does a new manager pick a dressing room up after losing to Brighton and Brentford? Surely, I've been 4-0 down at Brentford. Some of these players must have looked at Erik ten Hag's tactics and honestly thought they were about as clever as a bucket of donkey piss. But since then, you've won 4 games in a row. Yes, Antony looked good, but I'm sorry. Where has this Marcus Rashford been? I thought it was pretty conclusive back in 2019 when he looked like a lost tortoise standing with his back to goal up front in a defeat at cold and windy Newcastle. I thought the world decided then and there that no, Rashford is not a centre forward. Asking him to play with his back to goal, a bit like asking Johnny Vegas to touch his toes in the shower, right? But here, under Ten Hag, he's morphed into peak Jimmy Vardy, running in behind the defence, and he's lethal in front of goal. Wait, remember when he scored 2 versus Arsenal as a kid 6 years ago? Imagine telling someone then that nearly 7 years later, he'd still be bragging braces against the Gunners. Oh, you'd assume he'd become the next Wayne Rooney, and was hunting down Alan Shearer's record, right? Yeah, not quite. Only a few weeks ago, and he's about as threatening as a fig roll, with some Manchester United fans begging for him to be sold to West Ham, as if he's the modern day Danny Welbeck. But ever since Brentford, lads, Rashford has been utter class. I mean, now, if I was a hungry schoolboy, I would be proud to accept a free lunch from this man. Whereas, when it was last season, yeah, I probably just took the burger in a bin. But as for Arsenal, so I guess these aren't the second invincibles then. Lads, if the Gunners had taken a point at Old Trafford, it would have been a huge statement in the title race. But you fumbled it. You had 61% possession, and you still lost the match. Although, can I just ask the BBC, get your names right? If I'd been in a coma for a month and suddenly read the match report, I would assume that Manchester United had just bought Giovanni Dos Santos, or his brother John. I mean, both of them seem like they got the professionalism of milk, probably both just eating cake on the bus. I mean, his name is Antony. He's Brazilian. One name is all they need. None of this Dos Santos nonsense. I mean, Kaká was technically named Dos Santos too, but again, I'm pretty sure only his grandma called him that. Brazilians, one name, that's it. That's why nobody talks about Moura and De Lira playing in midfield for Newcastle. I mean, Antonio Conte's got both Da Silva and Andrade sitting on the bench, right? Oh, I wonder if Carrera will live up to his price tag at Villa Park. Oh, isn't it wonderful to see the resurgence of Barbosa De Lira in a Liverpool shirt? Oh, I can't believe that West Ham have signed De Lima for 50 million quid. No, please don't be a South American hipster who drinks pig sweat for lunch, alright? His name is Antony, not Dos Santos. Brighton 5, Leicester 2. Brendan Rodgers needs to walk. I'm sorry, I know that right now there'll be a bunch of angry Leicester fans screaming for him to get the sack. Yeah, a guy who delivers you 5th twice in a row and wins you the FA Cup and Community Shield. And yeah, people like Blue Van Man are probably willing to rip off their own face if it guarantees Rodgers the sack. 5-2 against Brighton and Hove Albion. This stinks of the end of his Liverpool regime when a few games before the sack, he found himself 5-0 down at half-time to Stoke. But listen, if he goes, who are Leicester going to get? I see Mauricio Pochettino's name mentioned, but I'm sorry. I think Pochettino would sooner make love to his granny in an airport toilet than even entertain joining a team bottom of the league and who seemingly don't have a single penny to spend. In reality, if Leicester do sack Rodgers, his replacement will probably be someone like Sean Dyche. I know, sounds about as exciting as eating worm pie for dessert. I mean, at a push, you might be able to convince Rafa Benitez. Maybe, although to me, his next job has just got Valencia stamped all over his face. I mean, once Gennaro Gattuso inevitably ruins things by, I don't know, storming into the chairman's office and threatening him with a fork. But this entire Leicester dressing room is stale. This team massively needs new signings. Okay, yes, the transfer market is slammed shut, but I mean, go get get some free agents. I don't understand why nobody offered Ross Barkley a deal. Yes, I know he's a Chelsea midfield flop who was loaned to Aston Villa, but do people just think he's Danny Drinkwater? No, this fella has now just been a forgotten tree stump who arguably belongs on Love Island. I mean, he's the modern day Jimmy O'Hara, but with Barkley, there's still a player in there. Am I ridiculous for thinking that he'd have been a great signing for Leicester? Oh, wait, actually, I'm just seeing there now. He's just signed for Nice. He's now joining Kasper Schmeichel. Lads, a midfield of Aaron Ramsey and Barkley in France. What is going on? But, okay fine, look at other free agents then. I don't know, Hatem Ben Arfa, or even a human sweat patch like Dale Stevens. Give Moussa Dembele or Andy Carroll a contract. But most importantly, get a new goalie. Danny Ward is a walking fat omelette who commands his box with all the authority of a 9-year-old schoolboy. Look, I'm gonna say something mental here, but okay, I'm nervous to say this because someone out there is gonna be tempted to phone the police. But Loris Karius is available on a free. I'm just saying, okay, he's only 29. He's been on the books of both Liverpool and Manchester City. I mean, he's reached the Champions League final. He is the same age as Danny Ward, but I can't be the only one who can see that he's a much better player. I mean, lads, I can prove it. They were both Liverpool employees under Jurgen Klopp, and Karius was given the gloves for a Champions League final while Ward was probably just told to microwave Klopp his lunch. I don't know, to me, Karius is the better goalie. Go get him because Danny Ward, the human pancake, just will not do. And one more transfer decision. If Rodgers is still there in January, if the money is still sparse at Leicester, then offer Manchester United a 6-month loan for Harry Maguire with an obligation to purchase for £40 million in the summer. I mean, that gives you 9 whole months to find £40 million from somewhere. And honestly, am I the one who thinks that Maguire, who yes, is a walking, gurgling dishwasher at Old Trafford, am I the one who thinks that once again he'd be superb in a Leicester shirt? But otherwise, Rodgers should walk. I mean, lads, how many managers resign in the Premier League these days? They don't. But Rodgers, if you have a Leicester City sack on your CV, then you'll no longer be in the running for a top job like Man City. No, instead, your next gig will be Crystal Palace when Vieira leaves. But walk now with your head held high. Honestly, Brendan, get out. But listen, yes, Graham Potter is Brighton 4th in the league. Great. Listen, what I will say is that Alexis McAllister is an underrated golden nugget. Lads, you would think a midfielder called McAllister was just a midfield plotter from Dundee or Motherwell, another Charlie Adam, but no. This is a 23-year-old Argentine international. Where did he come from? This guy rivals in a rocket volley from outside the box. I mean, it doesn't count, but I mean, it doesn't matter because he then nets a penalty and sticks a free kick into the top bins. Honestly, yes, I know Leandro Trossard is another class act, but this man is the next guy to lead Brighton for bigger things. I'm the one who thinks that he's got Barcelona written all over his face. Honestly, he's class. Newcastle 0, Crystal Palace 0. What a joke. I'm sorry, but Patrick Vieira should have went home on Saturday night and begun to write love poems to whoever was sitting in that VAR studio. Honestly, and invite them over for Sunday lunch. Agree to give them back rubs in the bath. Vieira should be willing to spoon with him on the couch whilst watching Love Actually by candlelight because, oh boy, did you get away with that? Yes, Newcastle played out a 0-0 draw with Crystal Palace. And yes, Alexander Isak missed a glorious one-on-one. Well, I mean, I'm sorry, but that happens. Are you all just gonna call him like John Guidetti now? Remember that Swedish meatball centre forward who was a pretty rubbish finisher? And it looks like the type of weird person who probably listens to Iron Maiden whilst tattooing his mum's face on his knob. Honestly, just Sweden's answer to Nicholas Bentner. But no, I am telling you that Isak will still be an absolute world-class superstar in the Premier League. But listen, this game wasn't about Isak. It was about the embarrassing VAR decision where yes, Tyler Mitchell heads into his own net for an own goal. And yes, to look at the replay, okay, it was disallowed because Joe Willock utterly wiped out Vicente Guaita in nets. I mean, fine, fair enough. I mean, tackling the goalkeeper is a bit like spitting at a policeman in the eye. I mean, you really think you're gonna get away with that? Goalkeepers now are a more protected species than Egyptian kangaroos. You just know there's a depressed dentist out there booking flights to Cairo just so he can find a kangaroo head to stick above his fridge. But fine, if Willock jumped into Guaita of his own accord, then okay, rule it out. But he was pushed. I'm sorry, but this man was literally shoved into Guaita. I'm sorry, what? I mean, the force of that push. If I went down to the local train station and used that level of force to push an old lady queuing for coffee, I'd be given 4 years in jail and the referee choosing to bow to almighty VAR. Oh, well, I think we've now established you've got the backbone made of candy floss. You just know he's probably the same type of spineless guy who lets his wife burn his clothes. Lads, this fixture St. James's Park, Newcastle versus Crystal Palace. 5 out of the last 7 meetings have been 1-0 wins for the two. This This should have been another one. It should have been 6 out of 8. Brighton 5 Leeds 2. Lads, this weekend there were 2 fixtures between a football team which started with the letters BR and a team who started with the letters LE, and it was 5-2 wins in both matches. I'm sorry, doesn't that make you feel like you're living in the Twilight Zone? Well, I'm not expecting to walk downstairs just to find a pig cooking me scrambled eggs. Who am I kidding? There's no downstairs. It's just a hole in the floor. But lads, I'm gonna say it. Ivan Toney should be in the England squad. The fact he's yet to play for England at any level, what a stinking bag of mutton in Ricky Lambert. Got 11 caps. Well lads, 12 goals last season was a great return for Toney. And now, 5 goals in 6. And the most confident hat-trick you'll ever see. This is a man who takes penalties as if he's playing 5-a-side. With utterly no run-up. Clearly he's got nerves of steel. I mean, if I was taking a penalty in front of 40,000 people, lads, I can't even do a poo in the toilet if someone's in the bath. To look at him, right? A 6-foot giant who looks like he eats horse meat for tea. You would think, oh, just a bustling behemoth with the actual footballing skill and technique of a bag of hula hoops. You know, the modern day Kevin Davies. But no. Watching this target man lump take a free kick, you would think, oh bless him, a bit like watching a fat policeman perform a ballet recital of Swan Lake, right? But no, he puts one top corner and the other one clips the top of the bar. And his third goal picks the ball up 50 yards from goal, goes past 1, goes past 2, and delicately chips in from 30 yards. Toney is the real deal. He turns 27 in March and doesn't have a single cap at any level. I mean, fine, the senior team I can get my head around, but not even the under-19s or under-21s. I mean, lads, Saido Berahino currently plays in Cyprus and probably stinks of undercooked popcorn. Ryan Brewster is a Sheffield United misfit allergic to goals. And yet, together, they've represented England over 100 times. Why? Why do the underage coaches just ignore Toney? Apparently, for these snobby underage scouts, they must think he's about as attractive as, oh, I don't know, a sausage roll that's been cooked in poo. Lads, Patrick Bamford missed an open goal in this very match. And ever since he called my foot disgusting, he has shown the finishing ability of a badger's corpse. And yet, he has played for England. Honestly, if Southgate leaves Toney at home this November, then honestly, the FA should force that man to spend Christmas Day drinking out of a toilet bowl. Nottingham Forest 2, Bournemouth 3. I knew it. I knew that Mark Travers would have been a sacrificial lamb after conceding 9 at Anfield. I just knew that Neto, the former Juventus and Barcelona goalie, would now easily just be able to dislodge a child from Maynooth. But I'm just sad. This now means that Travers in the Premier League is done. He's just the next Angus Gunn or Alex McCarthy. Just a 9-0 dud who now might as well just stuff his face with chicken wings for every match because he's never gonna play. But listen, brilliant Bournemouth relief to come back from 2 goals down to win the match. But I think we need to call out Nottingham Forest. Steve Cooper is a good coach, but the transfer committee, you don't know what you're doing. If you're going to sign over 20 players in one summer, then you need the right characters. Does anyone think that Jesse Lingard has the mentality to roll up his sleeves for a relegation scrap? I mean, Forest have been courting Serge Aurier for a week. A controversial washed up cheeseburger of a right back. I mean, Willie Bolly just showed the complete moral fibre of an onion by refusing to turn up for Wolves matches. And Forest still offer him a deal? And don't even get me started on how Dean Henderson has got the ego of a Kardashian. Honestly, any Forest fan who thinks their club knows what they're doing, then why, with an hour to go of the transfer window, were they trying to buy Michi Batshuayi? To me, I expected more from Forest this season. Lads, that's now 4 defeats in 6, and just 1 win, and oh boy, was that win against West Ham lucky. Lads, I'm not impressed. I'm really not. Chelsea 2, West Ham 1. Disgrace. There is literally nothing more to say. Edouard Mendy is the luckiest man in football this week. I'm sorry, listen. Chelsea did well to battle back from 1-0 down at home to West Ham to nick 2 late goals via Ben Chilwell and Kai Havertz. And by the way, surely this means Chilwell gets his place back? I mean, Thomas Tuchel lately has been choosing to ignore a £50 million left back. That all seemed a bit weird. What, did you just catch Ben alone in the changing room, weeing in your wife's purse? £60 million for Marco Kurla just seems so unnecessary. I mean, the role left back or a left wing back is basically seen as the most unfashionable position in world football, right? I mean, in Sunday League, it's usually just reserved for the chubby kids who can't kick a ball straight and can usually be found eating McDonald's on the way to the match. Well, Chelsea have poured £110 million into that position, and I think they once got Ashley Cole for £5 million. But listen, right now, David Moyes is probably still chewing skin off the inside of his mouth. Last minute, and Mendy makes a howler, palming the ball to Maxwell Cornet, who expertly slams into the top corner from the edge of the box. A last minute screamer at Stamford Bridge. And yeah, the goal gets ruled out because Jared Bowen's toe tickles. Yes, tickles Mendy's chest, who then immediately pretends like he's just received an axe to the stomach, writhing around like a decapitated slug. And it gets ruled out? I'm sorry, what? Chelsea, You are very, very lucky. Aston Villa won, Man City won. Great point for Aston Villa, but what more do you want to say? Kevin De Bruyne hours in a world-class cross for Erling Haaland to gobble up for his 10th, yes, 10th Premier League goal. But Villa showed belief and grit. Leon Bailey slams a world-class finisher into the top corner. And yes, I know, nobody was offside in the build-up to Philippe Coutinho's goal, which was disallowed, but I mean, there is a reason why Steven Gerrard was so calm in the interview. There is a reason why he wasn't threatening to headbutt the cameraman. It's because the only reason Coutinho was allowed time and space to stick the ball into top bins was because the referee's whistle had already blown, and that's why nobody closed him down. All the Man City players had stopped. So if there was no offside whistle, then that 25-yard shot would have just probably ballooned off John Stones' legs as he closed him down. Next, Wolves 1, Southampton 0. Yes, Daniel Podence's chip gave Wolves a 1-0 win in this mid-table battle with Southampton, but do you reckon Bruno Lage was happy after the match? No, he probably went home and stamped his head off the fridge. New big money signing Sasa Kalajdzic, an Austrian striker from Stuttgart. He just did his ACL. Poor old Kalajdzic. This is £15 million worth of talent, who will now be spending the season just eating sandwiches in the treatment room and just chatting with Sheila the nurse. I mean, they've now even resorted to taking Diego Costa on trial. Since leaving Chelsea in 2017, he has scored a combined 16 league goals in half a decade. Sorry, Wolves, but if you're getting excited about him, no, it's a bit like a Hollywood film director getting excited about giving an audition to Jack Nicholson's son. I mean, he's nearly 90 years old, probably forgets the names of his grandkids, and needs to have Weetabix fed to him through a straw. Honestly, Costa, he's finished. Everton 0, Liverpool 0. Lads, for a minute, a split second, we saw the true colours of Connor Cody. I'm sorry, but no, Connor, you can never call yourself a Liverpool fan again. That's 2 weeks ago. This man was a diehard vet. He'd come through the academy, was being groomed as the next Jamie Carragher. I mean, lads, don't think for 1 second that when Jordan Pickford spilled the ball for Divock Origi to now the last minute winner, don't pretend that Cody wasn't doing cartwheels around his living room. And yet here, he thinks he scored a late winner for Everton, and he's almost twerking on the pitch. Oh, it all just felt a bit odd. But listen, either side could have won this match if Neil Maupay was not Neil Maupay, and instead Frank Lampard had spent money on a more clinical striker like Danny Ings, then yeah, this would be Everton's first derby win at Goodison since 2010. But similarly, Jordan Pickford made some great saves. Virgil van Dijk should arguably been sent off, but I mean, cut him some slack. This was a ground which, you know, cost him a year of his life and a priceless Euro 2020. Pickford wasn't sent off for that, so I think Van Dijk right now, when he returns to Goodison Park, he can do whatever he wants. Honestly, if he wanted to, he could have just walked into the crowd and just punched the steward in the eye. Honestly, Everton, you owe him. Tottenham 2, Fulham 1. Pretty routine this. Good win for Tottenham, I suppose. Anyway, that's it. What do you let me know in the comment section below, lads. Let me know, how did your team do? Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed the video. Do it next year as always. I'll talk to you in a while.